I'm really excited about this video. This is the one where we take the molds out, a ton of changes happen. That looks different. Long way to go still. Last week we finished up the planking rabbet on the stem and the stern to accept the planking, and we started hanging the new cedar planks up above the waterline. Another piece of exciting news is Alix sent in a little video of he and Kira's trip so far and what their plans are for the rest of the summer. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out after this video. Just a quick little thing, and you can see what they've been up to and kind of what their plans are. But without further ado, let's get to getting these molds out, shall we? We're doing a little upgrade here to our planer setup. So originally we set it up with the motor, and there was an extra pulley down where the fan belt is. And we ran that over to this guy that we had underneath here, and then up, and it ran the dust collector. It worked fairly well, except for one real issue, and that was that the motor moves on the motor mounts. And the belt that went from the motor to here was long enough that little bit of movement from the motor mounts caused the belt to flop a little bit, and it would wear the belt out, and the belt was a bugger to replace. And it also meant that we couldn't really run the motor at quite the RPM that it really would like to run at. And we were also running the dust collector a little lower than that would really like to run at. So we ponied up and we picked up an electric motor here, and that's going to run the dust collector. The boathouse is 8 feet away here, so we can just run a cord over to it and plug it in. And that should let us run the dust collector at a much higher speed, so it'll suck the chips more efficiently. And it'll also let us rev up the motor a little bit, so that'll run at a little happier RPM, and it'll run the planer a little bit faster, which should give us a little bit of a nicer cut and get the whole process done a little bit quicker. And Thad, who comes around from time to time and helps us out, is on his way over. And he has got a big chunk of wood that he wants to put through the planer for a project of his. Thad calling this morning was a good kick in the keister to get this project wrapped up. So that's what we're working on right now. I may pull out when I step down. I don't think we need to step down. I think if we kind of go like that. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
We have just this end.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just hanging on to this. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere.
Pause there.
Good here.
Okay. So unfortunately, the electric motor that we put for the dust collector was not up to snuff, and we just blew it and caught on fire. So you can see all the shiny metal in here. That's all melted solder from inside of the motor. So that was less than ideal. So Thad's keel timber is going to stay here for a little bit since everything's all set up, and we'll get that motor fixed and run it through. But we're sending Thad home with a load of oak. So he's gonna build a little cruising boat. Next time he comes by, he said he'll bring the plans and show them to us. But it's all oak. It's a bit smaller and shorter than anything that we're gonna use on Arabella. And it's all been tarped and stacked and stickered for 4 years. So it's as dry as it's ever gonna get. So hopefully it's a help towards him building his boat, because it's stuff that I don't think we're gonna need, and Thad's been a big help for us, so happy to pay it forward. So we've been really hot and dry here, which although hot, it's not terribly comfortable. It's been fine for boat building. But it's looking like we got about a week of rain coming up with a lot of thunderstorms. And it's not going to be too long here. We're going to need some locusts for the deck beams. And I'm a little afraid that right now we're going to get that week of rain and the wood yard's going to turn into a mud pit. And we're going to need the locusts, and it's going to be a fight to go get it out of there and to get up the hill with the locusts and doing it in the mud. And well, right now everything is bone dry. So I think we're going to take a couple hours this afternoon and go blow off a little steam and throw some big heavy slabs of wood around and bring the locusts up here and just dump it in a big heap in the driveway. And then I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. It can rain cats and dogs for a month and it won't matter. We got all the oak we need here, and the locusts will be up here, and we can keep chugging. I'm just really afraid if we don't get it now, we're going to the weather's going to change and it's just going to get a heck of a lot harder. So we're going to run around here this morning and get a bunch of little things done so that we're ready for several days of rain if it really does come to fruition.
It's a big spider.
The cedar and the locust behind me are opened up right now, and the reason is that the tarp didn't quite go all the way to the ground, and the bottom locust slabs would get a little wet when it really poured. There's still a good bit of cedar we got to pull out of here before we can get down to the locust, but we pulled enough cedar off and threw it up in the rack. As you can see, the tarp comes down all the way now, and it'll keep this locust dry. Because this locust is, they're 20-foot long runs, and there's a lot of really nice stuff in there. So I want to be able to get the shear strake out of it, and I want to be able to get the shelf out of it. And we're going to be doing the shelf in the not terribly too distant future. We've got a bunch of oak here that we got to slice and dice a little bit farther down so we can put it through the bandsaw for framing stock. I'm going to throw that in the boathouse. And when we get to cutting the rest of the bent frames, we can rip them up on the bandsaw. But right now, they'd be a little bit big to put through the bandsaw, and it's nice to have a straight edge to run against the fence anyways. So we'll probably split a lot of these down the middle, maybe we'll cut some of them into thirds, and we'll get those loaded into the boathouse so that those are ready. And then we'll dive back into the cedar planks and get those knocked out and continue carrying on. Well, they weren't kidding when they said it was gonna rain. It is pouring buckets out there. So we're working on fitting cedar. So we've got 3 that are pretty much fit. We got the steamer going in the stern right now. This time of year around here, it's kind of anyone's guess. Like, do the thunderstorms hit? Do we miss them? Do they dump an inch of rain? Do they dump a half inch of rain? Are they 10 minutes? Are they all afternoon? I kind of never really know. I'm sure the wood yard's getting a good soaking, and I'm glad the locust is up here. No matter how much it rains, I don't have to worry about it. We can get going on the deck beams. I'm gonna wrap up these last couple of planks, put some bracing in, and then those molds can come out. And I'm gonna be one happy camper. When those molds out, put the last frames in, and then it's onto the deck structure, which will be a really nice change of pace.
See you in the morning. Festoon the boat with clamps.
Today is a big day, like really big day. So we're gonna take the molds out. We've been kind of working towards this very diligently for a couple weeks now, trying to make sure that everything's in place so that we can take them out and not have the hull change shape. So we put in all the bracing, we screwed in the bronze strapping with a couple hundred bronze screws. We gotta get a few hundred more. But all of that should go a long way towards keeping the planks from moving alongside each other and the boat changing shape at all. So now we're gonna go through and we're gonna cut the crossball and see if the mold moves at all. And if it moves significantly, then we'll have to kind of jack it back into place and figure out what we need to do for bracing. But hopefully we'll cut the crossball, things won't move much or at all, and we'll be able to take the molds out and get a view of the cavernous interior, which will be pretty amazing. I've been waiting for that for a long time. Yeah, so let's get to it, see what happens. I would say that's fine. Okay. Watch the wire. That looks different. Long way to go still.
Hopefully you never see your boat like that.
I mean, I haven't seen anything move yet. I'm honestly kind of amazed how little tension these have on them.
That's awesome.
Like they're They're not moving at all. Be the biggest one. Hold on, let me get my leg out of here. It was a very exciting day standing them up, and it's a very exciting day taking them out.
A lot of work in between.
Yeah, a lot of work in between. Just a couple of things to do.
You know, some frames, some planks, rivets,
Some bronze floors. Yeah, it's cool, man. She looks so different. So different. Yeah, we might have to hack this one apart. The next person who uses these molds is gonna have to do some repairs. Yeah, I don't think anyone's going. Alright, that's it. No more molds. It looks great, and the thing I'm happiest about is nothing really moved when we took the molds out.
They seem to have gone pretty successful.
Yeah, real smooth. I think anything that did move, it is so negligible that I'm not even remotely worried about it. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Next week, we're gonna fire up the big steamer and mill up some more white oak framing stock and get the rest of Arabella's frames all bent into place. And once we get those 14 frames in and fastened, all 70 frames will be in Arabella and she will be fully framed out. And then we can start launching into the deck structure.